What's up, y'all? Just making another video that I haven't done for a long time. And this time, I'm making a video of this bookshelf right here. So it's basically like a bookshelf tour. I've seen a couple of these videos on YouTube, so I figured I'd do it myself. I'm sorry that these videos have been pretty boring. I know my channel is not the most exciting, but you know, it is nice when you do get a chance to talk to people, whether in person or online, and share a similar experience as far as liking the same books or liking the same albums or whatever the case is. So it's nice to know that there's other people that have similar tastes to me. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from this bottom shelf and I'm going to work my way up. So I'm going to try to make everything a little quick. This video, I already know, is going to be long. I'm going to try not to ramble. So here we go. Okay, this is Dirty Blonde, The Diaries of Courtney Love. Pretty interesting book, to say the least. Yeah. Cobain Unseen by Charles R. Cross. This book actually comes with a bonus CD of, I think it was like an interview with the author and a few clips from Kurt himself or something like that. Gotta double check it. Kurt Cobain's journals. David Bowie, A Life in Pictures. I'm trying to think if this came out after his death. Rest in peace, David Bowie. I don't know if it came out after his death, maybe before. I'm gonna double check. Alice in Chains, The Untold Story. Very good book. Rest in peace to Lane Staley. It's really sad what happened with Lane and all this other stuff that happened with the band throughout the years. It's just crazy. But, you know, shout out to Alice in Chains. Love them. Yeah. Rocks by Joe Perry, his memoir. I loved this book. Shout out to Joe Perry. Shout out to Aerosmith. I love this fucking book, man. Bowie by Wendy Lee. I'm still reading some of it. The bookmark's still in there. It's a pretty good book, too. Keith Richards' Life. I've yet to read this book, but I heard it was a pretty interesting memoir, so I'm definitely going to dig into this book. I actually bought it a long time ago, but I never got a chance to read it because of all these other books that I've had, so I'm going to read this next. This little tiny book is Rolling Stones, Life in Pictures. When I ordered it online, I thought it was supposed to be bigger than this, so I was rather disappointed in the size of the book. But nevertheless, I'm going to still check it out when I get a chance. Morrissey Autobiography. Still got to read this one too, but love Morrissey, love the Smiths. Shout out to them. Here's 3 Madonna books here. Life of My Sister Madonna by Christopher Ciccone, her brother. Pretty good book. Madonna, An Intimate Biography by J. Randy Tamborelli. Tara Borelli. I always end up mispronouncing his name. But anyways, I gotta read this book. I know he wrote Michael Jackson's biography and a few other biographies over the years, so I still gotta read this book. Madonna, Michelle Morgan. I read this one. This is more or less like a fan book written by a fan. A lot of pictures, a few things here and there written, but it was a pretty good book. I liked it. True You by Janet Jackson. Really good book. You Are Not Alone, Michael, Through a Brother's Eyes by Jermaine Jackson. A Michael Jackson book by Tim Hill. Had a lot of pictures and stuff. Came out a little bit after his death. Rest in peace, Michael. Michael Jackson Before He Was King by Todd Gray. Is it? Yep, Todd Gray, the photographer. These pictures were taken within a span of a few years. I think between, it could have been 79 and 82. It was basically before Thriller. So in between Off the Wall and Thriller. Very nice pictures, and it's a really good book. Michael Jackson, The King of Pop by Chris Roberts, another good book. Dancing the Dream, which was Michael's poetry book. Beautiful poems in here. Awesome book. Moonwalk, of course. I've read it multiple times. Really good. The Most Beautiful by Mayte Garcia. Is that how you pronounce her name? Mayte? Prince's wife. Ex-wife. Really good book. Really sad. It's just crazy, you know. It's really crazy what happened with Prince, too. It's just, you know, Hollywood is crazy, man. And it's just, it's insane. But anyways, this was a pretty good book. It was very sad, but it was a pretty good book. Prince, Inside the Music and the Masks by Ronan wrote. Really good book. Prince, Matt Thorne. I have yet to finish this one. I read a few chapters. The same thing with this one. But they have similar facts in there, like similar information. Heavy Low Step by Bobby Brown with Nick Childs. I actually showed this book when I first bought it. It was a good book, I'm not going to lie, but it had questionable things in there as far as whether or not certain things that was mentioned in the book was the truth. Just keeping it real, Bobby. But we know it is your prerogative either way. Remembering Whitney by Cissy Houston. This book was another sad book. It was just, this was written right after Whitney's death too. Rest in peace, Whitney. Oh, man. You know, it was heartbreaking because it was her mom. And you can tell, you could just feel her pain in this book. You know, it was just crazy. Luther, The Life and Longing of Luther Vandross by Craig Seymour. I had mentioned in the earlier video of mine that I had read a little bit of this in high school and always wanted to get a copy of my own, and that one was actually out of print until I found it at the Strand. I'm still reading a little bit of it again. I have to read the whole entire thing from start to finish once again. But yeah. Nile Rodgers, Live Freak. I don't think I showed this book because I probably bought it since the last video I made. But I loved this memoir. Love Nile Rodgers. Love Chic. Love the songs that he made over the years. It's just awesome. I love this guy. His autobiography was wonderful. So, shout out to Nile. Yep. All right, next shelf. Teach Yourself Guitar by Nick Freeth. I think I showed this book before. It's basically guitar lessons in the book. Different chords, yada, 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 etc., etc. Really good book. I had actually bought this when I first started playing guitar. I have to dip into it again because I haven't played my guitar in a couple of months, maybe a year, maybe more than that. So I got to get back into it. Guitar Heroes by John Derengowski. I think I pronounced it right, hopefully. This is basically a book of different guitarists in different genres. What makes them amazing guitarists, etc., etc. Really good book. Next book, which is in between these two, Learn to Play the Drums. I had showed this book before, so I'm not going to mention what's in it. You already know. Best-selling albums of all time. This book is a really good book, but I feel like it's questionable. I guess it's to each their own, because some people have different tastes and different opinions as to what's the best album of all time. But some of these I agree with, some of these I don't agree with. But yeah, overall it's a pretty good book, pretty good insights in the albums and stuff like that. 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die by Robert DeMary. I love this book. Once again, some of it towards the end may be a little you know, to each their own as far as the choices. But overall, I love this because it's every genre, just about. Every year. It's just wonderful. I love books like this because it gives you a lot of information, and it just isn't, you know, I'm a music fan, so I had to have this. 1,000 record covers. I'm not even going to pronounce this guy's last name, but anyways, pretty good, pretty nice album covers. 100 best-selling albums of the 90s. It has different authors here, but this basically coincides with this one because I had similar albums on the list. But yeah, once again, to each their own. The Beginner's Photography Guide. I have yet to read this book. Screenwriter's Bible, Screenplay Workbook, Screenwriting for Dummies, Portable Film School. Portable Film School. Sorry about that. Rebel Without a Crew, Acting for the Camera, 101 Things I Learned in Film School. All of these books have something to do with film. All of these books I've shown before in previous videos. So, Screenwriter's Bible, I've read a few chapters. I still gotta read the rest. It should help with my screenwriting. Screenplay Workbook, same thing. Screenwriting for Dummies, I've read maybe the first or second chapter. I've yet to read the rest. Portable Film School, I read the whole entire thing. D.B. Gillies? Sorry, brother, if I mispronounced your last name, but yeah. That was a really good book, as was the Robert Rodriguez book, which I finished the whole thing. Acting for the Camera by Tony Barr, I read the whole entire thing too. Very informative. Love these books. I've read this whole entire thing as well. So, Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl by Issa Rae. That book is so fucking funny. Issa Rae is hilarious. I love Insecure, but I don't think I saw the 3rd season yet. So, I gotta check that out. But anyways, Superbad James Dynamite. I don't think I showed this book before, but this was actually a comic book that was written by Marlon Wayans. And I forgot the collaborator that he collaborated with on the book. But yeah, very funny book, very funny comic book. You already know if it's the Wayans brothers, it's going to be hilarious. In Living Color by Nelson George. This book was actually written in 1991. It was during, I say, maybe the 2nd season that it was written. I love this book too. Very hard to find though. This is way out of print, but I happened to score something lucky as far as finding it on Barnes & Noble. But it was through another seller on Barnes & Noble, but still, you know, I was still lucky to have snagged it. Jamie Foxx, a book about Jamie Foxx, basically, that I found on Amazon, I think it was. Pretty good. The Wayans Brothers, The Famous Families series. You know, basically those books that they had in school and stuff like that about your favorite artists and all that. Yeah. 150 Ways to Tell If You're Ghetto. Shawn Wayans, Chris Spencer, Sully McCullough. Written back in 98 or 97, I believe it was. This is another book that's out of print, but this shit is fucking hilarious. Like, you gotta, well, if you happen to find it online, good, because this is out of print too, but it's a very hilarious book if you do snag it. Damon Wayans' Bootleg, another funny, hilarious book. These two Ellen DeGeneres books were given to me by one of the residents at my job, and I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, but I kind of skimmed through the chapters, and it's pretty funny. I love Ellen too. She's another hilarious person also. Jason Priestley and Monroe. I actually showed this book before, but it was the library copy that I had showed, but this is my actual copy right here. Tippi Hedren. I showed this when I had first bought it. Still have yet to read the whole entire book. I read maybe like first 2 chapters, which I probably got to read again because it's been a while. The Fugitive by J.M. Dillard. This is actually the movie tie-in book. When I first had this book back in junior high, one of my teachers had actually given it to me. I didn't know it was the movie tie-in, so yeah, that kind of threw everything out of proportion. Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. Of course, the movie's classic, the book is classic. The movie left a lot of details out from the book, but overall, it was more or less the same. Great Writers on the Art of Fiction. This was actually one of the patients / clients that I took care of when I was a home health aide back in New York City. She gave me this book. Art and Fear. I had finally finished this book a long time ago. Very good, very informative book. 100 Best Loved Poems. Another good book that has basically a mixture of different poems over the years by different poets, i.e. Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson, etc., etc. Just different poets. Really good book. This book is actually Pictures of Rochester in Verse. I had gotten this at work too. They was basically doing spring cleaning. Maybe they was getting rid of some books, and I decided to take it because I don't like to see good things like that go to waste. So yeah, 500 Essential Cult Books. I believe I showed this one before. Basically, different books that have became cult classics over the years. Very good. Stone Soup Book of Friendship Stories I've had for a long time. I think I've had this since maybe junior high school, maybe elementary school. Very good book. The Pocket Muse, Endless Inspiration, New Ideas for Writing. Very good book too. Orange is the New Black by Piper Kerman. This is actually her memoir. As you know, the TV series was based on this book. Obviously, the TV series strayed very far from the book, but nevertheless, it's pretty good. Cisco, the Man Behind the Thong. I don't think I showed this book, did I? But anyways, this was an old biography about Cisco that was made like around his heyday, basically, when he had the thong song and all that stuff out. Cisco's very talented, but I feel like as far as the material that he chose, like the thong song, ended up screwing his career up. But he's a very talented brother, and I've loved him since Drew Hill. I still love him. I love his solo stuff, but he doesn't get the credit he deserves because Thong Song overshadowed basically every fucking thing that he's done since and even before that, which is sad. But it just goes to show you, once again, goes back to material. You gotta choose your material wisely, and that's for any artist, really. On my bookshelf, I think I showed this before. This is basically a turntable keyring. A turntable magnet. A cassette tape, but this is actually from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Why books are great. Well, real books. I got this, and this from the Strand. So, that's just from my phone. Don't pay attention to that. Weep No More, My Lady, which is basically a biography of Judy Garland. I just got this from work. Same thing for these two books. Rachel Ray's Cookbook, 365 No Repeats. A year of deliciously different dinners. I'm going to try some of these dinners, the vegetarian ones anyway. And if I do choose the ones that's non-vegetarian, I'll just add my own vegetarian twist to it. This one's the Complete Sourdough Cookbook, which was actually made back in the 70s. Once again, I got these books from work because they were getting rid of it, and I decided to keep it because I didn't want them to get rid of it. It's good material. So anyways, I have yet to read those books. So that's the bottom two shelves. I'm going to do another video with the top two shelves and the very top of the bookcase. So stay tuned to that. Peace.